Hi everybody, welcome back to Motorhome Adventures. Rather unusually, I'm stood on top of a stepladder to start this little video, and the reason is that I thought it might be nice just to try and service this little outside light that, as you may be able to see, Mr. Cameraman, if you zoom in, it's got a bit of moisture built up inside the little lens there. It's a job I've done once before, so it was quite easy. Hopefully it'll be easy again this time. You really don't need much in the way of tools, you just need a bit of patience. It's just assembled with two end caps and a little slide-in plasticky lens which has got the LED running down the middle of it. So what we need to do is to pop off these caps. Now this one, funnily enough, isn't fitted too well, so it should just jiggle off. And it does. It's almost as if I'd done that before, just before we started filming. And the same on this end here. This one's a bit tighter, so you can ease a screwdriver in there, or I'm using this blade because it's nice and thin, but if you're going to use a blade like this, do be very careful. They are a little bit brittle, they can shatter and split, and also it could scrape your paintwork, so just be careful. And it's actually come out nice and easily now, so we've got the two end caps off. Now what we're going to do is try and get the LED out of the middle of this lens. There's a little bit of extra cable tucked in there. Now this lens slides along the grey plastic moulding, so you move that one way, and then with luck this LED is released already, but if I just push it there, you can see that there's a little end cap that pushes in there. I'll just pop that back in place. And you will need to possibly jiggle that out, and then you've now got to split the two. So just gonna leave the LED in situ and remove this lens. And now you can see this is where the moisture is. There's a little bit of green mould is built up as per usual. So what we'll do is we'll just take this indoors, clean it up. I don't think you really need to see that detail on camera. Just give it a clean, dry it off, either pop it on a radiator or a little stick and a thin little bit of paper towel just all the way through. Then in a minute we'll come back and we'll just quickly pop it together again. Job done, hopefully 12 months or so. This seems to be about the time since I last did it. So there we are. Back in a minute. So here we are, what was intended to be a couple of minutes later. It's actually about 15 hours because we got defeated by rain clouds coming in. But what I thought I'd do is at this point was just show that the fiddly bit of reassembling is that this lens has a little moulding here which has a little guide rails for the LED strip to catch into and run down the center. So that's something to be aware of when you're refitting it. And the other thing is we can put on one end cap at this point. I noticed it was originally glued in, but I've cleaned it off. It obviously doesn't stop it getting damp, so I'm just going to try a little bit of silicone grease this time. I'm not sure it's going to stop anything particularly, but it just might work. And the two things about this grease is that it would allow this plug to come out again at any time, and it will also, silicone grease is waterproof, so it won't dissolve. So if I just squeeze that in there now, that may have created a waterproof seal. It may not have done, but in my opinion it won't be any worse than how it was before, because it wasn't keeping it 100% dry then. And the other thing is, on these end caps you can see there's a number of little prongs on here that have to line up into the main moulding up on the roof, so just be careful when you're pushing him in that you get all of them aligned and don't bend one over and break it off. Right, let's go back up the ladder. Yes. So here we are back on the ladder, and it's easy but fiddly is basically the thing, I suppose. And especially if the sun's shining in your eyes, and like me you have tinted glasses and everything's incredibly dark. So because this LED strip is permanently wired in, we do need to bring the two sections together in one, which means I have to start this lens into its guide channel and then guide those two together, which is the fiddly bit, because you can see like that it's not inlined, and we have to do it all in situ. So here we go. First off, let's try to get the lens back in there. There we go. And now we have to fiddle to get this in its channel. Which is just, I'm just going to move it in a little bit further. That's about the limit of what we got to work with. And that's the bit that can take 1 minute or 1 hour. And actually we've got it. You can see we can now push the two together. And that's that. Now we need to just push this end cap in. And if I'd remember to bring my little bit of silicone grease with me, we could pop it back in. But I forgot it, so hang on a moment. Just knock the cameraman off his ladder. There's a little smear of grease around there. Gently line it up and jiggle it into the lens. Now we just need to tuck this cable back in out of sight. And pop the end caps back on. And again, as I mentioned, just carefully line them up, pop them in. That one went in very easily today. And that one's just made a start. Just clip it in and the job is done. So there we are. And interestingly, last time I took this apart, I noticed that this frame is screwed on to the body of the van with 3 screws, which meant that the manufacturers of the van, of the Wildax, the manufacturers of the body here, have drilled 3 holes into the steel work, which is 3 opportunities plus 1 for the cables, 4 opportunities for water to get in. But interestingly, when I pulled it apart, it was good to see that they had actually backfilled the holes with a sealant, and it was all well put together. But I have to say, having had it all apart last time, I did actually put some additional sealant on it, because as we all know, water will find its way in anywhere if given any chance at all. So hopefully that's good. It should be another year or so. We'll just keep an eye on it, see if the water droplets build up, and if they do, well, we'll come and do it again. Okay, so I hope that's been helpful, and hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please do hit the subscribe button or ding the bell on the like option, and that all helps the channel build up. And we'll be back soon with another video. Thanks now, bye.